Hey guys, it's mcfixit back here with another disc die. We're going to be using this Buzzz SS and putting this sweet stencil die on it. And we're probably going to be using a couple of different features here. We'll probably be using both a hotbed and lotion die for this project. Stick around to see how it looks. Let's go ahead and jump into the tools and supplies. You're going to, whatever disc you want, lighter the better. We're going to use this stencil that I created and cut out on a Cricut, put a line down the center of it. And this is on an Oracle 5160, which I think is one of the better quality vinyls out there. And I do believe that it does help to have that. You do want some transfer paper. I went ahead and put a line down the center and drew a circle around a bigger disc. And it just kind of helps keep it where it needs to be. Paper towels are good. This is a little 3D print job that just helps me line things up. Totally optional, but it does, in my opinion, really help. And then we have a burner. This is an electric burner, so you don't have to mess up your stovetop. It's right over here to the right. Make sure to have lots of gloves and acetone, especially when you're wearing it. Use acetone, butane lighter, and then I had that Dawn dish soap and water. So I'm going to use a hotbed die, iDye Poly Black. We're going to use a blue and a red. And all of these will help make this color just really pop on here. And that is our hotbed die. Use a funnel to put it all back in and keep it nice and clean. I have an old pan that I used many times. Try to keep that just black, but you don't have to do that if you clean it well each time. And I have a series of tools. This is just a heat gun. You can also use a hairdryer. Just keep it on one if you use a heat gun. This is a X-Acto knife, very sharp. Be careful with it. Always helpful to have a pair of scissors, a pick, a scraper tool, a ruler. I also have a Sharpie down there as well, which is helpful when you're doing all this. Make sure to wear gloves whenever you're dealing with acetone. You don't want that stuff to be corrosive all over your hands. So the next step is to go ahead and remove the stamp. I'm going to be using acetone and paper towels. You can use cotton balls as well, especially on a new project, probably use cotton balls. But this disc is used and has been thrown a lot. You do need to use a lot of elbow grease. Move that paper towel or cotton balls around. And sometimes you do run out and you need to go get a new one, which is what I had to do here. So now that I have a new one, go ahead and pop it open. It's sometimes hard with gloves on to do without a little pick. But again, just keep folding that over and clean off the whole stamp. Get all of it off. Keep moving it around. Use new towels, whatever you need to do. And just keep going at it. Then eventually you'll see me use some Dawn dish soap and water to just clean it up. And we'll move on to the stencil. Now we're going to start weeding this stencil. And the goal of this is to pick out all of the stuff that we want to be black on the disc. Anything you want black, you need to do it now so all the black looks the same. And it's just simply weeding it and pulling all the different pieces out. This is definitely the most time-consuming part, but do take your time and make it look good. And now we're going to go ahead and use the transfer paper and go ahead and get it nice and lined up. That's why I put those lines on it, just to really help me get it as close to perfect on the disc as possible. It is hard to get it perfectly centered up. Take your time, make this happen. Then once you get it on there, you want to make it sure you're pushing down real hard in all different directions to really get on there. You can use a scraper tool, but be careful not to scrape too hard. You can put a good amount of force to it, but just don't tear through anything. And then we'll just slowly begin to peel this up. You may need to make sure you get a tool as well to help kind of push it. Make sure all of the white that you want to come up is on that transfer paper. And I'll just slowly begin to peel that back and out. And that is exactly what you want. I do have a little bit of a ring around it, not too worried about that. That'll just come off later. Go ahead and get your disc. I do like to make sure the disc logo, even though you can't really see it, kind of a ghost effect to it. I do like to make sure it's still lined up. And this is where that little board, and that just really helps me. Again, that's optional. Just take your time. You really only get one chance of putting this down on there and being successful for it. And so it's a little bit out of a good camera view, I know. But just take your time. And then we're going to spend a whole lot of time pressing and sealing this in. And I do like to have this somewhere nearby, just because we are going to spend some high quality time getting this exactly how we want it, getting all of the air bubbles out. But honestly, one of the best things you can do is go ahead and turn on a heat gun, setting 1. Then just go ahead, continue to get all of the air bubbles out. And sometimes getting them out also means pushing them away and kind of pushing them into the center, because it doesn't matter if they are way off on the edge or way off in the middle. Like, I'm not real worried about any of these. This one I might be a little bit, so we'll try to see which way to push it. But sometimes pushing it away from the cut line is actually smarter. But it's when it's right next to the edge. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that one right there, but that one I'm a little worried about, so we'll push that one down nice and good and just kind of work ourselves around the disc. So again, it's just going around. You may need to put it at some different angles. I'm going to go put some more heat on it. So I think that looks pretty good. Now we're going to go ahead and fill up our hotbed. So this is black eye-dye poly, 1 cartridge, 1 packet, 16 ounces of water. I do like to shake it up first. Go ahead and put that on there. And I'm gonna put probably the whole bottle in just so it does sit down in there nice. Go ahead and turn this on. I have a little mark on mine. It's between 2 and 3. Then over the next few minutes, I probably will go ahead and pause the camera, but just make sure all the rest of your air bubbles are out away from your cut lines. Okay, it is just starting to smoke just a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and take it off, turn it off, and then go ahead and take your blowtorch. You do not want it to boil. If it boils, you do have the chance of boiling off a lot of the water and also ruining your disc. And so I encourage people not to do the boil, but just to have it start smoking, pull it off. We're gonna go ahead and set this thing down in here for 10 minutes. And so you just want it to float just like that, a whole 10 minutes, and then I'll be back in just a few seconds to show you what that looked like. Okay, it's been 10 minutes now. We're gonna go ahead and pick it up and kind of let it drain a little bit. And then go ahead and see how we look. And I like how dark that looks. It's got a nice edge line as well on it. Yeah, I'm liking it. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of put this off to the side for just a second. Get our Dawn dish soap and water. Just put a spray or 2 on it, and then we'll go ahead and wipe it off just to make sure all that dye kind of stops dyeing things and doesn't get on everything else. And okay, now we're going to go ahead and begin to weed out your virus first. Let's go ahead and do the red first. And so we're going to go ahead and weed that out, and then we're going to spend some time taking some of the extra outside vinyl that we did not use to kind of cover up the parts that are black and just to kind of give us a little bit cleaner lines. And so this is something I've done a couple of times. It's really, really helped out, and so you'll see it now. So I have a couple other pans that I use a lot of times, so we're not going to be using that. Same concept, it's eye-dye poly, and sometimes I don't know what I'm doing when I first start these, which is fine because you just got to kind of see what it looks like. Then you can kind of go from there. So this is just a pan I've used a couple of different times with this. So I'm just going to reuse it. You don't have to put a ton of this dye in here. But same concept as before. It's 1 packet to 16 ounces. And I'll go ahead and put this over on a work table over here. Go ahead and get that started. And then we'll spend some time getting all the air bubbles out. Okay, so that's warmed up. We're gonna go ahead and scoot it out of the way. This will be for the blue part of the lightsaber. And we'll go ahead and turn that off. Oop, don't put it on max, turn it off. Same concept as before. We're gonna go ahead and set it down in very gently. And we'll go ahead and give that 10 more minutes, and we'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take this out. I did already put the red in another pan, so it starts to get warm as we are doing this. So we can go ahead and lift it up. It's been 10 minutes now. Let that drain. That turned into a really nice blue color. I'm liking it. Gonna go ahead and spray this off camera just so I don't get it all over my table. And we'll go ahead and wipe, making sure we get all the sides as well. And we'll go ahead and move this off to the side. And this should only take a few more minutes, but we do have one more thing to weed and a little bit more to cover as well. And that will allow us to have a beautiful red lightsaber in just a few seconds. We'll go ahead and put that down and on here. Let's go ahead and kind of clear our workspace just a little bit to be able to bring it over. And this is hot. It is not boiling. If it was boiling, I would not have been able to do what I just did. Go ahead and blowtorch. And the blowtorching just helps remove any extra air bubbles or any kind of imperfections, kind of brings it out. And we'll go ahead and set this very gently down in and let that sit for another 10 minutes. Okay, here's that red. We'll go ahead and lift it up and let it kind of fall back down in there, and go ahead and give it a quick wipe. Go ahead and put this pan back up on there, trying your best not to spill it. And then we'll just go ahead and hit it up with some Dawn dish soap and water. I think this is gonna look really sweet. So now it's time to go ahead and do the final weeding. So go ahead and spray this down with some Dawn dish soap and water, giving it one last final cleaning. Also, if it does have some sticky residue, you can put some denatured alcohol on it. It seems like that works really well. But look at this. This looks so awesome. The natural colors of the disc plus the red and white lightsabers. Please comment, subscribe if you've not done so already. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching.